done deals with other countries to diversify our exports. So I am sure that we would not have given away too much to get this 18% tariff from 50%, because probably if that was the case, we would not have done this deal. That is what my sense says. Though it is just a sense. I mean, it is not something which is which is steeped in specifics. But in the just assuming that India would not have given away too much, let us understand what India actually imports from US. I mean, India imports, for example, there are only two countries where you buy aircrafts from. So whether it is Boeing and Airbus. So both of them get quite a number of orders from all the countries. India is expanding. India's air traffic is expanding, and we would definitely be buying those Airbuses, etc. Boeing from US, and I'm just those kind of things, or some high end, army, armaments, etc. We were already buying. We may still keep on buying those things. Uh, there could be certain giveaways that India must have given, because for a trade deal to be signed, you must be signing on something where you give something and you get something. But in the process, I don't think again that India has given away too much. The markets are rejoicing. I also don't give it too much credence, because markets rejoice at small things. However, having said that, because if you really look at it, everything falls in place. I mean, we had the budget that had come out had a lot of incentives for the MSMEs. Those MSMEs would get a boost if there is further market which gets opened. Even if we had diversified and we had got other markets opened up, the overall volume of exports could increase, which I think it will increase in this whole scenario. As far as imports from America is concerned, I am very sure that we would have given away things where our own industry is fairly mature, and where giving away a few things does not really give a big impact to our own industry. That is how I look at things. So I think in this whole scenario, if you really look at it, to my mind, whatever Trump has done for last 6 months probably has been a big gift to India, because in the process we hastened a lot of our own trade deals. The world has also understood that you cannot be relying on one country totally. The geopolitical situation has changed in the process, and I think India has emerged stronger in this whole 6 months of various kinds of things that have happened. So to me, I mean, this is a very welcome step. However, as my colleague said, we still are waiting for the details to come out. Anything which we say is based on assumption, but the way and the timing, to me, my assumption is that India would not have given up too much. Had
Absolutely.
it to give too much, then it would have done it before the EU-India trade deal. It would
Right.
not have waited till then now.
Absolutely. In fact, let me also introduce this piece of information that is coming in. The SPICE chairman and managing director Rajesh Singh has hailed the finalization of the India-US trade deal as a watershed moment for the country and a major boost for the Made in India brand. He congratulated the government of India on what he called a historic achievement. Singh credited Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, saying that the agreement reflects decisive handling of complex global challenges while keeping the interests of India's 1.4 billion citizens at the center. Let me rope in K. Yatish Rajawat on this. Sir, you are the CEO for Center for Innovation in Public Policy. How are we looking at this deal actually strengthening certain areas? We had the Finance Ministry statement saying that there will be mutually beneficial collaboration in high and advanced technological sectors. We are also seeing how various industry leaders, in fact, are reacting to this deal, saying that it will create more opportunities, it will create, promote Made in India over there in, one of the biggest markets in the world.
So, I will again caution us on the side of conservatism here. We have this is the reaction from the US side. It has been driven by the US side, and this first sign of it is that they have reduced their tariffs first from 50% to 18%. We have not yet fully announced all the items or all the sectors that we will reduce the tariffs, or we will or where we want an edge. This is deal is also partly driven by the fact that we signed the EU deal, and I mean, it basically pushed US into a corner, because if we have the deal with the next biggest so-called geographical area that we export and import from, and where we have a surplus in our favor, and we signed that, and we've shifted both the goalposts of our future deal making and also our FTAs. So these are signs which must have been read properly by the US administration, and they realized the fact that maybe the pressure that they had levied on India by unnecessarily burdening us with these tariffs is not working in the direction of getting a deal signed, and hence they have taken the initiative from their side to reduce it. Now, what does it impact? Okay, now let me give you one sectoral insight. The Some of the oil and energy stocks were shooting up in the stock market today. Now, the interesting thing is that they're shooting up because in the hope that they'll be able to export oil back to US, and we do. There are two or three companies, which privately held companies, which do that. But remember this also, that for energy imports there was no tariff. So these companies are neither affected positively nor affected negatively, but their stock has gone up. Similarly, we have seen the stocks of all all automobile companies go up today. Now, if you were to look at it in the context of yesterday, when the market actually saw the largest crash in the last 6 years, then this is actually a recovery. So the market was really looking for an excuse to bounce back, and bounce back it did. So it is not totally a reflection of what happened with the US-India trade deal. It is more a reflection of what was the overreaction yesterday, and therefore there was there was short covering by both the derivative traders and even FPI. Now, but again, on the other side, there is an overhang, okay, which was on these both the stock markets and Indian exporters, that was there for the last year or so, which had reduced foreign investment into the stock markets. As you know, that Indian stock market in 2025 was an underperformer compared to the top five stock markets in the world. We also did not receive any foreign portfolio investment of any sizable nature in the whole of 2025, and in right up to the time that we are doing. We have only been seeing these investors exiting the Indian market. So this overhang was largely due to the fact that there was this tariff hanging in the air, and investors, companies did not know what to do about it, whether they should, and this also had an impact on private investment. As you know, private investment in India has not taken off for the last almost 18 months now, in spite of the fact that production capacity is reaching its upper limit. And so this cloud of overhang has dissipated to a certain extent. Now, this dissipation does not mean that immediately things will change. Things will only change once the clarity is there sectorally, and secondly, the bottom line or the top line of these companies will only improve, or they will only start making investment, or they will only start increasing their production if they see a continuity in this tariff approach. Because they will also have to plan for not for the next day, but they will also have to plan their production at least for the next 6 months, 1 year. So they will also plan their exports or their increase in production if this tariff remains at 18%, or is it going to drop below 18%? And that will determine pricing, and that will determine consumption in US or their landed prices in US. So all these things are not reflected in the reaction of the stock market. The stock market, as we all know, is a typically does a knee-jerk reaction, as it did, on the budget day, and the subsequent day on the STT, which does not really affect the country or any companies, but the market came down, and today again it has risen by almost, the Sensex has gone up by 2.83%. The Nifty is up. Almost all stocks in sectors are seeing a boost. So there is no explanation for the whimsical reactions of a daily basis of a stock market. But yes, there is a fundamental shift which has happened. The shift is interim in nature. The long-term fundamental impact of that shift is yet to be seen, both on companies and on sectors, and it will hopefully emerge. And if you see you just read out the Ministry of Finance statement, it is a generic statement. It is welcoming it, but it is not giving any other details as to how have we dealt with the agriculture point, what have we done on the dairy side, and these were important sectors which were concerned at one point in time. What are we doing on the services import? Has the US government given us any reprieve on the H-1B visas, for instance? That was one of the biggest point for all IT services company in the country, because they export manpower, and so all these things will now roll out over the next, I think, 2 to 3 weeks, as we start getting more and more in details about each sector.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. In fact, there is this piece of information I'd like to introduce for our viewers. Moody's Ratings has said that India is unlikely to immediately stop all crude oil purchases from Russia following the India-US trade deal. The ratings agency warned that a sudden halt could disrupt India's economic growth and may have inflationary effects. Moody's noted that while India has reduced crude oil purchases from Russia in recent months, it is unlikely to cease all imports at once. The agency also said that sectors such as pharmaceuticals and consumer electronics, which were earlier exempt from the 50% high tariffs, are unlikely to be affected by the tariff reduction. So let me go across to Mr. Singh. Mr. Singh, obviously you have been stating we are not going into speculation, but we are looking at the larger picture here. India-US relations, which were a little strained, are now finally seeing some kind of thaw. We are seeing reduction in these tariffs. That's why this is of significance. That's why this is of importance. Obviously, there will be some kind of statements coming out, because Trump has mentioned that India will stop buying US oil. India will look towards Venezuela. He has also stated that American made goods will see 0% tariffs. So these are some sticking points that have in fact spooked a lot of experts, a lot of analysts. But when we are looking at it overall, this reduction in tariffs is something that the Indian markets were waiting for. This is something that the Indian traders, Indian industries was waiting for. Moody's over here is stating that it's unlikely, and everybody, in fact, most of the experts are of the view that it is unlikely that India will forego all kind of Russian crude oil purchases, because this is something that we have done obviously to maintain a relation with Russia as well.
You see, Shivani, it's a welcome step, and every one of us is hailing the announcement of the deal. No doubt it's a good step for India's interest, for US interest. But while agreeing with Rajiv and Yatish, I would like to add a couple of points. The first point is EU-India deal has facilitated the US-India deal. When we analyze the statements of US trade representative, Geer and U.S. Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, it is very clear that U.S. might have thought that if U.S. does not enter in a deal with India, U.S. will miss the bus. I think that is one of the most important facilitating factors, certainly. But beyond that, what has happened is the way deal has been worked out, and then you have rightly mentioned that India will impose only will be charging only zero tariff on American imports. That's not the clear on which items India will charge zero tariff, and on other items how much India will charge the tariff. That is not clear. So the details of the deal are not out. And the finance ministry's statement is a general statement. They have not divulged any information, terms and conditions. And still, I personally feel there are so many nuances. These will be worked out through the negotiating skills of the Indian side. I think so many things are still to work out in the operational aspect of the deal. And I'm sure our negotiating skill will be appropriate to deal with the United States. But I would like to add a couple of things. What India is expecting from United States, it was made clear February 2025 in the joint statement. Why conceptualizing two? One is the trust and the compact concept under which they have put so many things, what India is going to import from United States, what United States is expecting. But beyond that, if we are trying to calculate the cost effectiveness of the trade agreement, cost effectiveness for United States, cost effectiveness for the India, not only in economic and financial terms, but also in geostrategic and political terms. These are, of course, not quantifiable. But while we are dealing in the international relations, India is becoming a major player in international affairs. We shall have to calculate in the wider context the cost effectiveness of the deal. And the last point which I would like to make, Shivani, is Indian economy is at the critical juncture right at the moment. It is on the takeoff stage towards the advanced economy. For India, it is more important than United States. So we shall have to very carefully or very tactfully negotiate with the American side in the operational aspect of the deal. Otherwise, details will not carry much meaning. So, from that point of view, we should assess the deal when it comes out, and thereafter we shall have to calculate exactly how far India will be gainer, how far United States will be gainer. Definitely, $500 billion trade was already envisaged in February 2025 by 2030. So it's the 5-year plan for the $500 billion. But beyond that, there was a vision of 25 to 35 that was also mentioned in the joint statement. So how this deal will boost that the 10 years vision of India-U.S. partnership and U.S. India cooperation. So we shall have to calculate this, all these things while assessing the cost effectiveness of the deal. And beyond that, one more point I would like to add, Shivani, about the India's farming sector. And this is the bone of contention, not today, even during the Dunkel proposals, when GATT round of talks were taking place, ultimately it was culminated into the WTO. So it's the old issue of the farming community. So how the Indian farming community's interest will be protected, that must be the top priority of the government of India. I think the government of India kept it at its top priority in the beginning of the talks for the deal. But at this stage, I don't know what will be the position of, because since Trump is saying, and even there is in the news and some reports in the media that American farmers will get Indian market. So how the American agri products will be dumped into India, or how how much India will charge the tariff on the American agro goods, that is a highly sensitive, political, and very important issue for India. Over it, Shivani.
Absolutely, sir. In fact, agriculture has always been India's red line. We'll see how it deals with US on that matter. But US lawmakers have in fact welcomed the new trade deal between the United States and India, calling it a reset in ties between the world's two largest democracies and a boost for trade, energy security and geopolitics. Indian American Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy has said that the agreement marks an important step towards forward after a difficult phase in relations. He said that stronger trade with India will support workers, businesses and innovation in both the countries and allow both sides to move past a period when sweeping tariffs strained ties and hurt both the economies. US Senator Steve Daines also described the deal as a clear win, praising President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He said that better access to India's market will benefit the American economy, including agriculture, and added that India buying oil from the US instead of Russia sends a strong global signal, though he noted that more work remains on the trade imbalances. Let me in fact go across to CA Manish Gupta, finance and market expert, who's also joined us on the broadcast. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Sir, your thoughts about your observations regarding this entire reduction in tariff that has come to the fore, regarding the reactions of the stock market. They are all in green. The rupee has strengthened by 119 paisa. We are seeing a lot of cheer in the market. Industries are happy, which were once slapped with 50% punitive tariffs, now will only trade with 18% tariffs, sir.
Yes. See, these two signals are very important for us. One is surging the share market, and another thing is surging the rupiah, getting strong than dollar. See, this is, I can understand this. American president has approved this deal in little haste because they must be getting the information that India may be losing day by day in their hand as a customer, as a alliance partner. You know, the deal done with European Union was a signal that India has secured its place for export, which it was doing otherwise with the America. So now it was immense pressure on the by the Americans to President Trump that we should start the deal with India also, otherwise we will lose a big supplier and big partner, because India was never bending down. So now they have come up with some deals. Deal part 1, do not buy the oil from Russia. So whatever loss you are getting it because of the discounted price you are purchasing from the Russia, you may now take the oil from Venezuela. There must be some compensation in terms of price of the oil, because yes, Venezuela will not sell at the price of Russia, but definitely it will be some parity in the price of in compared to price of the Russian oil. One, America doesn't give any condition on the purchase of arms and ammunition with Russia, which is our strategic need. So we are free to purchase all kind of arms and ammunition from Russia. So our long-term partnership with Russia is still intact. Yes, Trump says we will not buy. India says we will buy less petrol from oil from Russia. So one thing is oil. America want to sell the oil of Venezuela because tomorrow European Union may or may not be asking the oil of Venezuela. So they want to secure one reliable, regular and big purchaser so that they can sell the Venezuelan oil. One. Second thing is, it was the first need of America to enter into Indian dairy products market, which India was of course denying. However, in the agreement, here I can observe and understand that America has entered the dairy market to some extent in the product which India is either importing or India is not growing in their own our own country. So, I mean, the government have some face saving statement that we are importing the product which which we are otherwise not growing, which was otherwise importing. So that means here there is a chances that India will cut the custom duty tariff on the agri products to some extent. Yes, the details is yet to come, but this is the correct situation. And then third thing, America wants India to be the alliance partner in compare of China, so that America US can handle the China by showing the India's power. Because now everybody knows that India has become a power after China. So at least America wants some alignment with India, so that it can stand behind the India to support and to confrontation with China. Also, it was the wish and desire of America that India should not go very close to Russia, because by doing trade at cheaper price, and that too in Indian rupees versus ruble rupees, was a dent to American dollar, which America was not liking. And also there were very high chances that America, this BRICS country may start their own currency, or the deal with European Union country may be in their respective countries' currency. This may dent the American dollar's kingship. So American people did not want it and like this situation, and this is the reason that Trump was forced to do this kind of deal. Here, India has to purchase $500 billion in the US, purchase and investment in the US. However, on the other side, India will have to install the lot of manufacturing plants in India, and India will get the technology transfer. The professional of India and professional of labor and India professional Indians will go there. So then, because of the surge in the manufacturing units and the job opportunity at US, the Indians will get more job prospects and more business opportunity because of this deal. So now we can say with the pride that yes, India is the country which is doing business all over the world, whether it is US, whether it is America, European Union, whether it is Japan or Australia or Sri Lanka, Pakistan. Now, one more thing we need to consider, that it is a geopolitical deal as well as strategic alignment. So now India is balancing three sides of the world. One side is Russia versus China, India is handling this sweetly. Other side is European Union, India is handling. And the third side is America, most powerful country, India is handling. So I believe this is the time of multi-alignment by Prime Minister Mr. Modi to handle three angles in the same style. Yes, this time Modi has responded to Mr. Trump. Otherwise, in the prior time when he was claiming otherwise things which were not acceptable to India, Mr. Modi did not accept it that. But now at this juncture, as this deal, Mr. Modi has said thanks to Trump on behalf of the entire people of India. That means Modi ji want to connect all Indian with the American deal. So this is a new change and new era. I may say it is little success of Indian foreign policies division. However, deal could have been little better also if the Trump was reasonable. Since Trump has become little jittery, and he was disturbing every country, including their own very close friend like South Africa, to China, to England and other European Union countries.
Right.
So at this tough time, India has done the multiple alignment, which is not simple and small things. We must
Absolutely.
appreciate Mr. S. Jaishankar and Mr. Modi for this.
Right, sir. In fact, we have another piece of information coming in that the India-U.S. trade agreement has received strong praise from both the sides, with the White House calling it a major win for American workers and industries. White House Deputy Press Secretary Kush Desai has described the deal as historic, saying it secures trade ties with one of the world's fastest growing top 5 economies. In fact, we have some board reactions that are coming in from our domestic leaders. Congress leader K.C. Venugopal has launched a sharp attack on the India-U.S. trade deal, calling it the most obvious case of capitalization India has ever seen. Citing President Donald Trump's announcement, Venugopal claimed that India will reduce tariffs to zero, while the United States will continue to levy 18% tariffs on Indian-made products. He also alleged that the US is dictating terms of India's energy choices, including who the country can buy oil from. Venugopal said that agriculture was India's biggest concern and warned that if Trump administration officials are to be believed, the Indian market could be flooded with American agricultural products, stressing that over half of India's population depends on agriculture. Venugopal said that such a move would be a death sentence for poor farmers who cannot compete with the American agriculture industry. He further criticized the deal for being finalized with complete opacity and demanded that the government place the full text of the agreement along with the EU-India FTA on the floor of the parliament for a detailed discussion on the future of India's economy. Apart from this, we also have Samajwadi Party President Akhilesh Yadav, who has attacked the government over the India-U.S. trade deal, saying that opening Indian markets to American agricultural produce amounts to a betrayal of nearly 70% of the country's population dependent on farming. Yadav also alleged that the BJP and its allies were agents of foreign interests even before independence and continue to be so today. Let me in fact get in a final word from Mr. Singh. So, Mr. Singh, overall obviously we are seeing a lot of positive reactions, but we are also seeing the opposition state some very valid points. We have the agricultural sector, which we have not in fact discussed, because that's something that even across all the FTAs that India has done with many countries, they have not touched the agricultural sector, because that seems to be our threshold, that seems to be our red line. We are not going to go into deals, but we have American leaders saying that American agricultural products will flood Indian markets. We have some other concerns as well, that US made products will see almost 0% tariffs, India will continue to see 18. So, obviously some kind of criticism as well, Mr. Singh, coming in. Final thoughts from you.
You see, Shivani, the criticism by opposition parties is quite valid in the sense India is a democratic society. So whatever the ruling party does, whether at the domestic level or international level, the opposition parties will try to make political capital out of it. It's not unusual in a democratic society. What's the valid point is the deals, terms and conditions and detailed points have not come out. So without knowing the deal, what exactly is the deal, and how the nuances of the deal will be worked out at the operational stage, their Indian negotiators must exhibit their negotiating skill. So that is more important. So right at the moment, we most of us are hailing the agreement that it's a good sign both in the US side and Indian side. But detailed criticism will be made. Even we people will critically analyze the deal and its terms and conditions where it will be in the public domain. But without knowing so many things, how we can have a critical perspective of the deal right at the moment? Otherwise, India's share of international trade is not very significant comparing India's size and India's ambitions. So India shall have to expand its trade, and Indian policy planners are focusing on that, how to make India an export-led economy. Till today, India is the service sector-led economy. So India is gradually focusing towards the manufacturing export-led economy, and for which how this deal can be helpful, whether US will be able to start some joint venture, technology transfer. So many things are coming in which are directly associated with the manufacturing and the production side. So all these things, when will come out, we will definitely in a calculated way, in a rational way, we will assess right at the moment are the political statements, general statements. If deal is there, it will be good for
Right.
everyone. Like that statements, they are not much relevant. If opposition is criticizing, that itself is not carrying much significance in the sense since the deal the deal is not out at all. When deal will be out, definitely opposition will criticize. They may raise certain valid points, and there may be some reform or some changes in the deal itself during the negotiating process while dealing with nitty-gritty of the deal. Over, Shivani.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh and Mr. Gupta, for joining us on the podcast with that valuable perspective. We are now shifting focus to some other news coming in. The Lok Sabha has suspended 8 opposition MPs for disorderly conduct, including throwing papers towards the chair. Among the MPs suspended are Manikam Tagore, Gurjeet Ojla, Raja Waring, Abhi Eden, Kiran Reddy and Venkat Raman. The Speaker condemned the incident, calling it a breach of parliamentary decorum, and stressed that such actions would not be tolerated during the budget session. While Priyanka Gandhi is slamming the House for this action, Union Minister Giriraj Singh says that this disorderly conduct would not be tolerated. Let's in fact listen in to the 2 of the suspended MPs.
जनता के हक के लिए जो भी आदमी लड़ता है उसको ये गायब कर देते हैं या फिर सस्पेंड कर देते हैं। जनता का ये प्रश्न है, चाहे किसानों के प्रश्न हो, एजुकेशन के प्रश्न हो, रोड रास्ते डेवलपमेंट के प्रश्न हो, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात हो, लेकिन ये सरकार बात नहीं करती है।
Take is only one thing. We were protesting against the decision of the government not to allow the leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi to speak. Yesterday whole day leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi ji, as a customary thing, leader of opposition was having 4 hours to speak. He was disturbed again and again and again and again, and he was not allowed to speak.
All right, so you heard over there the suspended MPs who stated that they were just trying to make sure that the leader of opposition in the parliament in fact gets a chance to speak and reply to the president's address, and to let's in fact discuss this further with my colleague who is joining us on the broadcast, Anand Singh. Anand, we are getting to know that some MPs have been suspended for disorderly conduct. Could you take us through the details, please, Anand?
Yes, Shivani, look, the way in which several of the Congress MPs, they were protesting inside the lower house as leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, who wanted to speak on the president's motion of thanks. So clearly, Rahul Gandhi, as yesterday we have seen, that's how he has mentioned about General Emil Narwan in a memoir mentioning that how the Chinese tanks were coming closer to India's border. So clearly, he was not allowed to speak yesterday, and when he made the reference, then he was cited the rule by the Speaker. So clearly, the House was adjourned for the day yesterday after facing adjournment for twice. So clearly, once again today, same kind of situation was witnessed in the Lok Sabha when leader of opposition was not allowed to speak on that, and thus several of the Congress MPs, they went in the veil as they alleged that this is not good for parliamentary democracy, as leader of opposition was not being allowed to speak and his mic was being shut when he rose. And then they also alleged that how the leader of opposition wanted to address the House on President's motion. So clearly, they mentioned that they have been suspended for remainder of the budget session for raising the voice of opposition, as the government only wants to listen what they want to listen. So clearly, these are the allegations that the suspended MPs have put on the government after they were suspended for unruly conduct in the House, as well as for
Right, Anand. Thank you so much for all those updates. We're looking at some more news coming in. Adani Defence and Aerospace have announced the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the Italian defence major Leonardo, which was earlier known as Augusta Westland, to establish a fully integrated helicopter manufacturing ecosystem in India, eyeing a huge military market. According to estimates, the cumulative requirement of the Indian Armed Forces, Army, Navy, Air Force and Coast Guard for helicopters in various classes totals to over 1,000. This includes 300 plus light utility helicopters, more than 300 medium lift helicopters and over 100 intermediate helicopters and over 90 maritime multi-role helicopters. The MOU, signed in the presence of Defence Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh and A. Anabarasu, DG Acquisition at the Ministry of Defence here in the national capital, will focus on targeting the Indian Armed Forces requirements, particularly for Leonardo's AW169M and AW109 Trekker-M helicopters. The collaboration will deliver phased Indianization, robust maintenance, repair and overhaul capabilities and comprehensive pilot training. Let's in fact listen in to what Jeet Adani, Director of Adani Defence and Aerospace, had to say.
Today we stand at a moment that carries meaning far beyond a corporate announcement. It is a moment that speaks to India's confidence, to our aspirations as a nation, and to our belief that the future of aerospace must be shaped not outside our borders but here by our own people. For decades, our armed forces have protected the nation across landscapes that test the limits of human endurance: towering mountains, vast deserts, dense forests and long coastlines. Their courage has always been unwavering. Our responsibility is to ensure that the capabilities that they rely on evolve with the same unwavering resolve. Today we stand.
Let me in fact go across to my colleague Shikha Shalaria, who is with us on the broadcast. Shikha, take us through the details of this MOU.
Yes, clearly, Shivani, this is a big MOU that has been signed between the Adani Defence and Aerospace. That's the flagship defence and aerospace arm of the Adani Enterprises Limited, and Leonardo, which happens to be a global leader in defence, aerospace and security. And this is aimed at addressing a lot of defence requirements of India. What both the companies are aiming at is to fuse Leonardo's world-class helicopter design with the engineering prowess offered by Adani's defence, end-to-end defence and aerospace expertise. And this also is a bid to ensure that, the Atmanirbhar Bharat vision that has been envisaged by the Prime Minister is advanced, and to strengthen national defence readiness with the potential to be extended to civil aviation applications and international supply chain integration. In fact, what is also being looked at is to ensure that this ecosystem promises transformative economic impact, as what Adani Enterprises is claiming is that this is also going to create high-skill jobs in engineering, manufacturing, logistics, and sustainment services, while cementing India as a competitive hub for helicopter production. Helicopters happen to be one sector which the defence and the Air Force especially have looked at several times in the hour of need, and helicopter procurement, helicopter development, shared development is something that India has looked at over the past several years.
Absolutely, Shikha. I think this is a deal that will have remarkable effect on the Indian manufacturing industry. With that, we are wrapping up this bulletin and slipping into this short commercial.
की देगी मिर्च,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च, जो भी पके ऐसा पके, जहाँ भी हो जो खींचा चलाए, मीठी दिल हो या पुलियो गिरे, वांगी भात हो या पोड़ी मसाला, रस पाउडर या सांभर मसाला, असली मसाले सच सच MDH MDH।
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मिर्च।
अगर आप बनना चाहते हैं एंकर या फिर आप में है जुनून एक तेज तर्रार न्यूज रिपोर्टर बनने का, तो आप ज्वाइन करें ITV और इंडिया न्यूज Newsx का मीडिया स्कूल। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का कोर्स आपको मौका देता है देश के दिग्गज एंकर्स के साथ काम करने का। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में आप बेहद नजदीकी से देख पाएंगे किस तरह से ITV नेटवर्क के दिग्गज पत्रकारों की टीम दिन रात खबरों पर काम करती है। इस कोर्स के दौरान आप सीखेंगे एंकरिंग की एक एक बारीकी उन एंकर्स के साथ जो देश को रखते हैं हर खबर से बाखबर। ITV नेक्स्ट मीडिया इंटरनेशनल स्कूल का ये कोर्स आपके एंकरिंग स्किल्स को करेगा इतना सशक्त मजबूत, जिससे आप बनेंगे पत्रकारिता की दुनिया का वो चमकता चेहरा जो दुनिया देखेगी और पसंद करेगी।
कभी खेलों के मानचित्र पर उत्तर प्रदेश सिर्फ संभावनाओं का नाम था, पर 2017 के बाद संभावनाएं संरचना बनी। जनपदों में स्टेडियम, ब्लॉकों में मिनी स्टेडियम और गांव में मैदान। खेल अब शहरों तक सीमित नहीं रहे। लखनऊ से मेरठ, वाराणसी से और विजय का गूंजता संदेश। ये है नया उत्तर प्रदेश।
This week on the roundtable, we are taking a look at the danger our country faces from the number of Chinese imports that have been literally dumped onto our country. Our economy is at great risk. What can the budget do about it?